Greetings, I am Sean Revenant, aka the cheesily named Darth Shawn, and recently watched a movie in which Leonardo DiCaprio gets a lot of stuff in his beard. The Revenant, a very, very hyped film from last year's Academy Award winning director. I'm going to butcher his name, but I'm going to try it. Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hardy, as well as Donald Gleason's in it as well, which was cool to see. It really does live up to the hype. It is a really, really good movie, simply from the fact is few movies are shot like this. Apparently, there's a rumor going around that everything was shot in just natural light. The environments, the cinematography is just, it blows you away. The scope at times is just unbelievable. You feel like you're in the mountains, sitting in the back of the theater when we're going through the snow. I'm like, it's a little cold in here. You're through swamps, through rivers. There's, snowfall, ice. It is just breathtaking to watch. The cinematography is just spectacular. It covers different animals, and as Leo's walking through, as Tom Hardy and his crew, they're walking through, it all is just unbelievable. And just simply for that aspect of the movie, it's worth a view. Now, I don't think it's a perfect film. I also don't think it's a film that is easy to watch. I had kind of the same feeling I have when I watch a really, really strong war film. Good movie, hard to sit down and watch because of the terribleness that happens in this. Leonardo DiCaprio goes through so much. Obviously, the highly talked about bear attack, and that scene is brutal to watch. It is so hard to watch. It is incredibly shot. It is incredible the way it really doesn't have many cuts. It's just a straightforward bear mauling. But he falls off cliffs. He goes down waterfalls. He gets stuck in rivers. He has rotting skin. He has to eat different raw meat to try to stay alive. He gets shot. He gets hit. He falls. He rides a horse off of a cliff. He hits a tree. He tauntauns a horse and crawls inside of it. There's just so much that happens to Leo in this movie, and it's brutal, and it is hard to watch. There are cringeworthy moments left and right in this movie, and it is a hard movie to watch. Does not take away from, say, how good the movie is, but even just something to me it's just not a movie that I'm going to be desperate to go see again, simply because it's hard to watch. It's cringeworthy. The cinematography, as I said, is spectacular, and that alone carries the movie. There's just this really very few soundtrack pieces, but there's just one piece that just keeps going over and over, and it's haunting, and it's beautiful as it goes through it. A lot of times it's echoing over the mountains and everything that's going on. Inarritu directs this movie unlike pretty much any movie that is out right now, and it is a spectacle to see that. Leonardo DiCaprio is getting all the hype, and it's well-deserved. He deserves to win his first Academy Award. I don't know if this is his best performance. He's got a lot of great ones. It's definitely a different performance. He does not have to speak for literally the majority of the film because bear slashed his throat, and he can't really speak, so it's all physical stuff. The struggle he's going through, the pain he's going through, he dragging his body, the facial structure that he has to have. Leonardo DiCaprio grunts and groans a lot through this movie, and it is intense, and it adds even to the hard and grittiness of this film, and just the intensity and how it's hard to watch because you feel like he's actually going through a lot of these things, and it's a ton of credit to Leo and what he does. There's a great element to the story that is Leo he's going to get revenge on Tom Hardy, who left him for dead basically after the bear attack. He's trying to get his revenge, because Tom Hardy killed his son and left him for dead. But there's more to that. There's also this element of trying to prove himself as he has lost his wife and now his son, and trying to prove himself. And there's kind of this spiritual journey that he goes on as he's trying to do this, going through visions, through the way he's kind of just seeing things. It might just be the fact that he's lost so much blood and he's dying that he's seeing these things, or it's actually kind of a spiritual thing. Inarritu allows it kind of to be either way. You can look at it and translate it how you want. Regardless, he goes through so much, and it is so well portrayed by Leo's facial expressions, the way he moves, the way he goes through this. Just an incredible performance. Now, there are some who would say Tom Hardy steals the show, and I don't even necessarily disagree with them. Leonardo is fantastic in this movie, but Hardy plays this character in such a different way than I expected. He's a bad guy. I mean, everyone in this film is a bad guy in some element. You have to do terrible things to survive, and that's kind of who he is. He is a guy who is going to get his paid for what he does, and he's going to survive. From the beginning, he identifies Leo's character and his son as being bad news, as somebody that is going to get him killed, and so he's not going to bend over backwards to allow him to survive. And Hardy plays this character so well because you feel this soul and gravitas, you feel this realism to him, that this is just a guy that's trying to survive, and that's why he makes a lot of these decisions. He makes tough decisions that are not going to be viewed well by anyone, and he deserves what comes to him, but you feel for him, you understand for him, especially considering that he is a partly scalped, in his life, and he has, his hair has grown nice on one side, but on the other side it is, you've got just blank scalp there, and that's why he wears a bandana. He has just a wonderful accent that just is perfectly encompasses kind of people around that time that are, the wild, trackers and hunters and game, trying to avoid Native Americans and just different things that are going on, and it's just wonderfully portrayed by Tom Hardy. In the end, The Revenant is a fantastic movie. I don't think it has a ton of rewatchability because of the cringeworthy and intensity, but part of that is it's not glorified. That violence that's in it is not glorified, and that is wonderful to see. It is a violent and brutal film to basically show you this is what it is like. This is what it was like, and thank your lucky stars you don't live in this time. Thank your lucky stars that you are in a culture, in an environment now that doesn't have to deal with this sort of pain and death that went through, and these people that had to struggle through. And I love that and that element of it. The cinematography as it is just spectacular, and everything that goes through. The relationship of a lot of the characters works so well. The only real negatives I have in this movie are there's this native tribe that's tracking and looking for someone, and it just feels kind of tacked on at times. They're very interesting characters when they're there, and a lot of the stuff they do is interesting, but I wanted more. I wanted to understand a lot of their thing, and a lot of it is just you have to understand, you have to look at it. This is not your average movie. This is not something that the average moviegoer is even going to maybe even understand some of it, other than Leo's just struggling. It is a movie that has a lot of depth and a lot to go through, and it deserves a lot of the praise. So what do you guys think? Have you seen The Revenant? Let me know in the comments below. As always, like this video, subscribe to the channel. And I am Shawn Redman, aka the cheesily named Darth Shawn. And may the Force be with you. Always.